You work with President Goodluck Jonathan in his government as a minister. I could say you relatively understand this kind of person and this kind of politics. In his recent interaction with the media on the unfolding development within the polity, he did pass much of the blame to INEC. He believed that had INEC risen to the occasion, not much of the drama we witnessed arising from the election on the part of politicians whose disposition it is to maneuver their way through would have been. What do you make of that argument?
President Jonathan was my boss. I was a minister under him. We would have solved a lot of problems. When Ike Clark came and pleaded with me that I should go and assist Jonathan with my wealth of experience in governance, I hesitated for a long time. I told Papa Clark that I wasn't ready to work with him. Until Papa Clark came one day and told me that he wanted to see Theophilus Danjuma. And I said, you cannot go and look for Theophilus Danjuma because Theo is my friend. And if you wanted to talk to Theo, I'll go and bring Theo to you. He said, when? I said, today, if Theo is in Abuja. And as God will have it, he said, I drove to Theo's house that evening. He was at home. And I took Theo in my car and I went to him in company of his wife, Daisy. And I didn't know what Ike Clark was going to discuss at that meeting with Theo. I didn't know, he didn't tell me. But I took Theo there, as usual. I'm a businessman more than a politician. I was in my teen, doing my teen outside. When Theo finished with the wife, they came out and I took them back in my car and drove them back home. When I got to Theo's foyer, I dropped him. Theo said, you cannot go. I said, what is it? He says, look, Papa Clark had begged me to accept to work in Jonathan's government, you know, the economic intelligence, what have you, and that was his plea that I should accept it. But my conditions are to the effect that he equally said to me that you have refused to be a minister, that he's been talking to me to be a minister, which is true. Ike Clark did everything as a father, and that he was not going to accept that appointment if me do not accept being a minister under Jonathan as well. Not wanting to hurt a father figure, which is Ike Clark, I accepted. That's okay, I'll do it if that is the case. But this was over 6 months argument between me and Papa Clark that I wasn't going to work with him. Do I regret working with him? No. He's a nice guy by heart, but you needed some element of character to deal with the issues of Nigeria. I played a pivotal role using the name of Gbagi Foundation, as you know. I fought the entire North, and at the last, what we used as a people was those 13 universities I created to rule the North at the time. So what I'm trying to say to you is this. Jonathan had fantastic opportunities to have turned Nigeria, the way he ought to have turned Nigeria, because Jonathan's government largely was a people-oriented government. At a time, that government was the best government in the whole of Africa and the world. We became the fastest economy in Africa, the second or the third economy in the world. We put up a team. We were doing things. Just as I was creating university, creating polytechnic, and creating colleges of education, I was doing my thing as I was changing the laws in WAEG for it to be more amenable to our people and all of those, to get our children to a better situation. All other ministers were doing what they wanted to do. But Jonathan, as I say, Nigeria was his territory. Unlike what this gentleman Buhari has done, Nigeria was not his territory. How do you want to have it? INEC man, Fulani Hausa. Police, Fulani Hausa. SSS, Fulani Hausa. Name it. Jonathan couldn't have done such rubbish. He followed the rules. Now, you have a situation where people who have even retired in a country called Nigeria, our own. People who have even retired, they are just left there because they are particularly from one part of the world. Sorry, the country. The SSS, the police, name them. That is lawlessness for a country that is growing with such a speed. Nobody wants to see that confidence continue. So I believe that Tinubu has a duty to do. Look at what we did in government, in other than Jonathan's government. If Jonathan's mother was due to retire, started by that great man, Yar'Adua, he must retire that day. That's character. That's what has kept America running. That's what has kept Britain running. That's what has kept great countries in the world running. You cannot say you are due to retire because you know one person or you are from one tribe or from one place. You remain in office to the detriment of people who are millions waiting to climb the ladder. It only goes to show that we need to go back to the drawing board. We're not running as a country. We're not. Yar'Adua never did it. Obasanjo never did it. Jonathan never did it. It came back again, this gross act of irresponsibility in keeping people who have retired, people who ought to have left, in office in Buhari's time. Everything goes. The country has drifted so irresponsibly to a state where people have lost faith as Nigerians. So Jonathan was a great leader, and I say so of him, and I believe that opportunity will come by his way again to become a leader in this country. But when that happens, Jonathan must do things differently. Jonathan must be able to call a spade, and for us to run. You cannot appoint more northerners than more southerners. I remember when I brought Jonathan to come and meet Ayo Risejafo. I went to Jonathan and I said, look, Ayo Risejafo is the president of Khan. He had complained to me that you are saying this, you're not talking to Khan. And I said, don't worry, I'll bring him. So I went to Jonathan and I said, look, we have to go and meet Ayo Risejafo as the president of Khan. And we came. So what I'm trying to say is, we must do things. Why do I have issues with a lot of people in Delta? They are unable to accept the realities of life. And unless we go back to that situation where the reality of life is a way we want to live with, it's a way we believe, we are wasting our time. That's my position. Jonathan should be ready. Nigerians will look for him. At that time, he spoke to me this last episode, wanting me to play some roles with regards to him coming back as president, but I didn't feel it was right. And if I don't feel it was right, it wasn't right. There are things I told Okowa millions of times. When I was contesting the primaries for governorship with James Ibori at the time, Okowa was looking for local government chairmanship. So we all have our dynamics and how we want to play. How come I've done all of this to tell you how childish? You come and say, I have issues with my workers in Delta. Very childish. Now, you have seen the result. He thought he was doing something to disgrace me. God has disgraced him 3 trillion times worse than he thought he was doing to me. Now, how come I don't have any less business in Lagos or in Abuja or any other part of the world? How come the madness of blackmail, the madness, I have lion in my house, I have this, they are just afraid of my person and my character. None of them have anything to say about me, like it has been revealed in this petition that, as that lawyer have said, you are cleaner than people see of you. That's why they are doing everything to blackmail you. So I'm very happy where we are. Jonathan should get ready. He must do things differently. And once we are sure that his head is screwed properly, the way it ought to be screwed, we are all for it. He has a good character that can run this country with good heart. And then people believe in Jonathan all over the world. The Americans, what have you, they believe in Jonathan. They believe Jonathan can be a better president than anyone we have had. And I say categorically, from independence to date, Jonathan administration as a president is the best.
Now we have a new president of Nigeria, though it has come with mixed feelings. Ahead of the election, you have maintained unwaveringly and in clear terms that the presidency should come to the South. Now we have a president of Southern extraction. What is your impression of the presidency of Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
You see, I will meet with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu shortly. We have had very closed-door meetings in the past. We'll meet shortly. I'm not in a hurry at all because I'm not looking for anything. If I've rejected 3 ministerial appointments, I'm not desperate for anything. I'm going to meet him and tell him my peace of mind and what I think he should do. Just like I told Jonathan, but Jonathan was a bit, wanting to be a bigger Nigeria or holier than thou. What I'm saying is that I'm going to meet with him. I'm going to tell him what I feel. I'm a Nigerian. He has opted to serve me. He has opted to serve Nigeria. So I'm going to meet with him before long and I'm going to tell him some bitter truth as to how we can get out of the quagmire we had found ourselves. If you ask me, he has emerged as president. He did fantastically well in Lagos as governor. I believe if he used that same template, but enlarged the template, because Lagos State is just one state. Today is now president of 36 states, as the case may. If you enlarge that template and get the best of hands to do what they ought to do, it will be a win-win situation, in my opinion. Age not being on his side, health very shaky. Let's pray for the best. I fought. If we have 5 Nigerians who fought for the presidency to come to the South, I beat my chest to say I did so. And the clips and everything I did are there for everybody to see. I didn't bother who he was, but I bothered the fact that if we had to move the way we are moving, let a Southerner be a president. Tinubu is a Southerner. So he's met that conditionalities, and if you ask me, let him not disappoint the South of Nigeria. I don't care. Religion does not play anything. I have friends. In fact, I have more Muslim friends and brothers than I have as Christians. I don't believe in that whole crazy, but I just felt government should move to the South, and I crusaded for it without nobody sponsoring me. Tinubu never sponsored me to do it, or anybody for that matter, but I felt. And then that was a sharp contrast between me and Okowa, who in his deceit, there's a level. What this world today, with today social media and what have you, there's hardly anything you can do and hide. Everybody in Nigeria and the whole world today have no respect for the man called Okowa, because the lies he has told are very petty and childish. So everybody will say, this man. People are looked from. Nobody will have anything to do with that government office. Already, as you can see, he's superimposing himself, doing a 3rd term in the few days that they are going to last. He is the governor, actually. Because the boy cannot say anything. The boy knows that he was not supposed to be there. He's been using the boy. He used him to deplete the economy by signing all documents blindly and taking loan. He doesn't even know what the loans are. He doesn't know the papers he's signing. The man cannot read and write. He just signed. Nobody wants that in today's world. And I demand that Deltans in their character forget. It's not Gbagi. I'm not fighting for myself. I mean, this is my country home. I would die and be buried here. This is my office. I'm sure Okowa does not, his office, if you divide his office into 3 times, he doesn't have this type of office. He has never had one. From his inception till when he became a governor. Even as governor, he did not have this type of office. People should build themselves before they think of going to governance to think of what to do. I don't need anything to steal from Delta State. I will never, by the grace of God. He knows himself that I will never. He's told me that 15 times. That I will never participate in anything called stealing or taking taxpayers' money. And everybody who has stolen and taken taxpayers' money and driving taxpayers' car and living in taxpayers' house and building money with taxpayers' house and buying properties and buying oil companies all over the world with taxpayers' house, all of that, history have it. It will go to nothingness. You can't take from people and they are swearing and crying and You cannot. And you say, you want to go free? No, there's a curse on you and your children. They will never prosper. That's my philosophy. That's how my father brought me up as the founder of the CAC Church. We must learn to do things rightly. And by the grace of God, it will start with me as governor of Delta State.
Before I let you go, where are you on the crisis that tried to rock the Social Democratic Party in Delta State? How integrated is the SDP Delta State currently?
While I keep on referring that the worst governor, the worst human being that rose to be a governor in Delta State since the creation of independence is Okowa. A very cunning man, a very mean man, a very wicked person, a very heartless person. Okowa was the one who was sponsoring that illiterate who didn't go to school, who you've can't lie that he went to University of Ilorin. We've gone to university, he didn't go to any school anywhere in the world. The fact is that, okay, Dawane is a pimp who was working for Okowa as his essay and what have you. He did it to Dwaga and everybody. He does not mean well. It's like picking a house boy or a garage boy and making an assistant to a governor or what have you. He believes that all that he has to do in life is already accomplished. So what I'm saying to you is that it's Okowa who procured OK to do that. Now, put it this way. It will interest you today, and I declassify, in Okowa's desperation, particularly knowing, because this issue of Sheriff being an ex-convict, this issue of Sheriff forging all this paper, I discussed it one-to-one, either in the closet or the closest privacy between me and Okowa. We talk a lot. He comes to my house here to talk with me. Now, Okowa called Adewale, the presidential candidate of the SDP, in such a desperation to hunt me down. After I've left his party for him, he says he wants to take, I said, go. So I went to another party. He called Adewale and told Adewale that he wants to see him very urgently. Adewale then said that, I'm in Ondo, I'm not in Abuja. Okowa then said, I will come to Ondo to meet you. It's urgent that we talk. Adewale then said to him, no, you don't need to take all that trouble. He said, no, I want to come and see you. That's not trouble for me. I'll take my private jet, which he doesn't have, taxpayers' money again. But Adewale insisted that he will not. Adewale then said, I'm coming tomorrow to Abuja. You can come to the house. And I came to Abuja. On arrival of Adewale, Okowa went to him. And when Okowa, of course, you know, Okowa is a very sly guy. He's a cunning person. So when he went, I mean, the purpose of going there was actually to go and partnership with Adewale with a view of seeing how he can stop me from contesting the election under the SDP platform. Adewale is not a small boy. Very intelligent guy, you can say. Now, when he saw the reply of Adewale that, look, rather than think about me having anything to do with Gbagi, Gbagi is actually the one who is the boss of the party. When that road closed, as I said, one of my closest friends, Dodo, went to SDP chairman, went and thought of how they can partnership from the party element of it to stop me, or having now conducted the election, to see how they can come up with a cocoon as to how to stop me at the tribunal, looking for technicalities. And the chairman said to Dodo, he says, I'm very, very surprised. I met you in the house of the Honorable Minister for dinner. So I'll be surprised that you are going around looking for technicalities to hunt the guy. I disassociate myself. I'm not going to be a party to it. Dodo did not stop there. Dodo went to INEC to find out if I actually met the statutory arrangement or conditionality to have been a governorship candidate. INEC presented him with a record and he was ashamed of himself. As though that was not good or bad enough for him, he came and held a meeting with this illiterate, offered them monies and what have you, got a lawyer who is now on the run, and they agreed that they were going to withdraw. But you see, if God has destined you to be anything in this world, don't fear. You will get there. It is God that has destined that I'm going to be governor, not me. Now, when he failed, Okowa failed at the Adewale level, got his lawyer to go and do what he needed to do, failed at the national chairman of the party's level, went to INEC and failed. He then came to this, this drug addict and arranged nonsense, which is what you saw, that I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do this, and that they have briefed a lawyer to withdraw from the petition. But put it this way, that's to tell you that Okowa is childishly desperate. Now, how can a chairman of a state, of a political party, national party, write a letter to a lawyer without the approval of the national chairman, the national secretary, the NWC, and the national legal advisor of the party? It was fake. That he wrote that letter, purportedly. Meanwhile, he was no longer the chairman of the party at the time he did. He wrote that letter asking this quack lawyer that was put together by Okowa and Dodo SAN to say that they are withdrawing their petition. By the time the letter leaked, of course, what needed to be done was done. This criminal was dismissed from the party by the national organ. And if you go to our constitution, he is legally not in position to do so. That is outside his powers. But having taken peanuts, I hear that in one of the meetings he went to meet Sheriff and was talking nonsense that he's been working actually. He confessed to the world that he actually has been working against SDP for the last 3 years. They gave him 1.2 million. All of them got 20,000 and 18,000, for which they sold their life, destroyed their life politically, and today they are nowhere in the politics of Delta State. And anybody, when you are a criminal, you are a criminal. Wherever you go, the tag of criminality comes and follows you. So they are gone. The party have dismissed them. You saw the other day, about a week ago, you saw what happened with SDP. They've inaugurated party. The deputy state chairman is now the chairman of the party. The state ESCO is restored. Everybody is there. Party is moving. And those petty criminals and all of them who thought they were going to get anything, by the way, has wasted their time. Now, there are criminal records, incursions that he has unfortunately engaged in. Are we going to prosecute him for that? Yes. Are we prosecuting that lawyer who accepted to write that nonsense to court? Yes. And the court has dismissed and thrown away that rubbish from his records. Because in any case, the man ran away in panic. I mean, when he saw that we had already petitioned the disciplinary committee of the NBA, he ran. It's nowhere to be. It's fizzled because they were all committing illegality. These are thieves that have been caught as thieves, and they are lying. You see, when I use the appropriate word, those are the kind of words you use for criminals. When we were studying crime as criminologists, we were part of the committee that altered that issue where we say people are prisoners. We changed it to inmates to make them feel a bit more comfortable. Instead of a prisoner that is stigmatizing, we change it to inmates. So people like Oke, who could be used as an errand boy to do damage and evil, is off the way. SDP is on its foot. SDP will form government. SDP, as they won the Nigerian government, we will get there very soon. I'm very optimistic. So I don't have a problem. I'm fine with the party. The party is going to grow in bounds. The party is going to go to places. However, one of the greatest criminals of the party is now history. So I don't mind at all.
We are keeping close attention to your litigations in court. Immediate thanks to you, Chief, for your time and buoyant disposition.
Thank you, my brother. God bless.